Milford, and welcome to Studio B. It is an exciting day for MPS Talks as we kick off in our new studio, and we have an amazing guest to kick it off today. We welcome back Principal Josh Otlin to share some exciting news from the high school. In coming episodes, we're going to talk to our athletic director, Peter Boucher, so make sure to tune in and continue to tune in as we welcome in many guests. I do want to talk about, with Peter Boucher when he comes in, some of his recognitions that he had in some of the spring sports. But before we can get to episode 2, we're going to be focused right here today on episode 1, because we're going to be talking about information about college readiness with Principal Otlin. And next week is an exciting week in Milford, as it is our Healthy Kids Week. During the week of April 9th through the 13th, our district will be celebrating our annual Wellness Week. We will focus on healthy minds and healthy bodies to promote academic success and lifelong healthy living. Our fabulous head of nursing, Judy Dagnes, and all of our amazing school nurses and staff involved in promoting the mindfulness and wellness of our schools. I do want to talk about a few of the highlights, because each day is going to highlight something different. Mindful Monday is the first, will kick us off. Mindfulness is the process of bringing one's attention to the experience occurring in the current moment, which can be developed through the practice of meditation, and other training in mindfulness meditation can be simple. You could just maybe take a seat, pay attention to your breathing, and when your attention may wander, make sure it can return. Following some of these meditation steps regularly can increase your self-awareness and focus, and even decrease your stress and improve academic achievement and social skills. So next week, and really following all the weeks, we ask everyone to start your day with 30 seconds of mindfulness meditation. From there, we go to Terrific Tuesday. Name one of your terrific traits to yourself. Get up and talk about some positive affirmations, because they can increase self-esteem and decrease depression. So ask students to, post something on the board, or write in a notebook one positive word or phrase that describes themselves. Students, you can do this as well when you get up. Start your day off by giving some positive attributes to yourself. On Wednesday, we're going to talk about Kindness Wednesday. We're asking that all staff and all students to perform one act of kindness on this Wednesday, because as we've seen, some research shows that acts of kindness promote good health and longevity. The belief is that not only do we want to receive kindness, we want to be able to give it as well, because when you give those acts of kindness, you feel better about yourself. We talked about positive attributes as well. Also on this day, we'll be dedicating the Buddy Bench at the Brookside Playground, so make sure to see that, and that is in memory of Jackie Gray, one of the fabulous school nurse at Brookside, so come out for that. And the purpose of this Buddy Bench is to promote inclusiveness, kindness, and tolerance to decrease bullying and foster friendships on the playground. Into Thursday, we go to Thoughtful Thursday, so think about 3 ways you can improve your mental and physical health today. Try some new fruits or vegetables to replace that soda. Maybe replace soda also with water, and maybe go for a walk, or try yoga, or turn off the electronics for a day and really attend the school day games, which will be going on as well. And we wrap up our week with Fitness Friday. Our annual walkathon will take place at each school with direction from our physical education staff and the principal. Staff and students are encouraged to wear sneakers and get walking. Well, we can't talk about Healthy Week without talking about matching your meals. Students and staff will be wearing colors of the days to bring healthy food to match the color of the day. Our cafeteria staff will be serving healthy foods with the color for each day. You heard me talk about the school day games. Well, our school day games are sponsored by Milford Public School Special Olympics. It'll be held on the 12th of the month, and if not, we're going to hold it on the 13th. And this is an annual event, and will take place with opening ceremonies at 10 o'clock at the high school turf. Our special needs athletes in grades pre-K through 8 will be prepared and have a buddy to participate in various activities focusing on motor skills development. The closing awards ceremony will be at 11:30, and if You're not participating in the great event. We hope that you will be a fan and stand and cheer on the athletes. Next week also kicks off BOX, which stands for Building Our Kids' Success. It's our second season of BOX, and we'll be kicking it off during Healthy School Week at both Brookside and Memorial. This 6-week program, before school fitness program, will focus on healthy breakfast, will focus on healthy bodies, and is under the direction of Lisa White, the coordinator of wellness activities, who is fabulous. Also during our Healthy Kids Week, Milford Community Use will be offering many free after-school programs for grades pre-K through 8. So make sure to go to the Milford Community Use website for a list of all the activities. And Milford Food Services Friday specials will be a healthy lunch for the purchase for all of our Milford school staff. And keep an eye out that our school nurses will provide a variety of healthy related activities throughout the week with a healthy tip each day in the morning during the announcement. So there's a lot of great stuff going on in Milford next week, and there's also a lot of great stuff going on in our high school, and we want to welcome in our first guest here in our new studio for MPS Talks, our principal Josh Otlin, to talk about college and career readiness. All right, welcome back, and as you heard, Healthy Kids Week is going to be fabulous here in Milford Public Schools, so make sure to check out all those events and talk to your children about what is happening and what they participated in. And as I said in the opening, we have Josh Otlin here, the principal of Milford High School. He was here earlier in the year when he had just started out and really talking about some of his goals and things that he was looking to get to this year. And we wanted to have him back because now we're focusing on students going to college. And Josh, I want to throw it over to you. I know there's a lot of emphasis on students going to college and the positive effects, and sometimes not getting there, the negative effects. Can you kind of talk us through what you've seen this year and what are your hopes and dreams of the positives, and really talk to us about your mission in that?
Sure, yeah, thanks, Matt. I think what I've seen this year is, I think, very typical of what's happened at high school sort of across the Commonwealth, where there's some things that we can be really pleased about, but there's also some areas in which we really need to improve, right? So we have a lot of students that are well on the path towards success in college, and I think I'm feeling really good about where we are there. We've got the rigorous course offerings, we've got a strong counseling program. These kids are ready to work hard, and they need to sort of stay on that track, and they're going to experience a lot of success. Where we need to, I think, really improve is we need to have a much sharper focus on kids who we know are at risk for not completing college. We know that completing college is so important because both the positive benefits of college completion are enormous, but also the negative impacts of not completing college can actually be really severe for young adults. So on the positive side, kids who go to college and complete college, we know that they make more money, we know they have more professional satisfaction, we know that they're healthier, we know they're more likely to be married and stay married, we know they're likely to live longer, they're more likely to be happy. So on every conceivable outcome, young adults who finish college do better than those who don't. And so it's got to be, I think, a huge priority for us, not just to get kids into college, but to make sure we've done everything we can to help them complete college. And when students go to college and don't complete, unfortunately, this can have a really negative impact on a young adult's life. I mean, one, most students who are going to college are borrowing money, right? So if they go and they don't complete, they've left with debt and they don't have a credential. And for a young adult who's really trying to start off an independent life, to have a cloud of debt over your head and to not have that credential to help you in the labor market really puts you behind the 8 ball as you're trying to start off your independent adult life. I think it can produce a real loss of confidence for kids if they go to college and don't complete, and a real loss of competitiveness as well for a young adult to get out on the job market, to say, well, I tried to complete college, but I wasn't able to for the following reasons. Whatever those reasons are, it's not going to reflect favorably upon them in the job market. So, we know that the payouts of college completion are huge. We know that the costs of college attrition, and by that I mean leaving once they enroll, are really high. And so this has to be, I think, a top priority for us.
And I know, just coming to Milford myself last year, and you're new this year, sometimes when college comes up, we don't hear about all the positive colleges and really high-level institutes some of our students are going to. I've heard Ivy Leagues. So one of the things that are you hearing this year from our students or past students where they're attending that maybe our community doesn't really realize it?
Yeah, so I mean, I think if we want to talk about kids who are getting into really elite, prestigious schools, This is, I think, a core part of our work is to take our highest achieving students and get them on a path where they're going to be able to compete at the most highly selective schools. I feel like we're doing great there. That speaks to one of our real strong suits. So, for multiple years, Milford has been sending kids to the most selective colleges and universities in the country.
That's great to hear.
And that includes this year in the class of 2018, right? We're already getting our acceptances in.
Yeah.
And, the list is something that we're very, very proud of. That speaks to where I feel like we're really strong. Kids who go to the most selective colleges have extraordinarily high completion rates, right?
Okay. Yes.
The students that I'm more concerned about are students that are going to moderately or less selective schools.
Okay.
That's where there's a real sort of crisis in completion that we need to focus on.
Okay, and you're seeing that this year in the school, really working on building those students' real rigor to make sure that they can get in and compete.
Yeah, so I think we're in the process of doing things both in the short term and in the long term to really try to address sort of this, what I call this college completion crisis, which I want to be clear, what we're seeing in Milford is no different than what we're seeing nationwide, right? Okay. So nationwide, we know that if you take all the kids who go into college the fall after they graduate from high school, and you say, well, what percentage of those kids graduate with a degree, any degree, whether it was the one they started with or another one, any degree within 6 years, right? Yeah. It's about 40% of the kids who go to college.
Okay.
Which means that almost 60% of kids who go to college don't complete. Right? Okay. So those are the national averages in our numbers, and Milford are really quite similar. And we actually know quite a bit about why that is. We also know quite a bit about things that high schools can do and have done that can really make an impact on those factors that are leading to attrition. So we've got a responsibility, I think, to take what we know, share it with our students and families, and to really develop a program and a strategy that's going to make a difference and ensure that kids who are going to college have high chances of completing, as opposed to right now where we have a lot of kids going to college where unfortunately the truth is that we know that their prospects are quite poor. Okay.
So we're just going to take a pause. Did a little pause here. We're going to switch gears a little. So the next set you want to dive into why are so many students falling. Okay.
And what can we do about it at high school?
Okay. Yeah.
And on you.
Okay. So, Josh, I want to loop back to the completion piece, and you shared some statistics there that a larger number are possibly not completing college. And can you touch on that, and maybe what are your goals to help our seniors or juniors, or really all of our students, have that academic rigor, the persistence to when they get accepted and get in, that our completion rate for those colleges increases?
Sure. Yeah. So academic rigor is a huge part of the puzzle to preparing kids to be successful in college, but it's really only one part, right? So we know why so many students go to college and don't complete, right? It's typically a combination of two factors. One is cost, and the second is academic readiness, right? So college is extraordinarily expensive, and it's important to note that while college in general is extraordinarily expensive, all colleges are not equally expensive, right? Okay. And so we need to work really, really hard to make sure that when our students and our families are going to make this investment in college, that they're making a very sound investment. I'll talk more about how I think we can help on that. Great. And the second is on academic readiness, right? Which is partially about rigor and making sure that our students are able to do work at the caliber that their college instructors are asking them to do. But it's also making sure that they're ready to do academics in a completely different setting than what they're accustomed to in high school, right?
True.
The college experience looks and feels very different than high school. So just as a quick example, if you look at the high school experience, students come 5 days a week for 6 hours a day plus a half-hour lunch. Right. They spend 30 hours in class. There's no college freshman who spends 30 hours in class.
A week, correct.
So the experience when a student goes into college in the fall of their freshman year of college is so starkly different from what most of our students experience in senior year that there's a shock there that many students are not able to acclimatize to, and they're never able to sort of experience success. So let's first sort of talk about the cost piece, and let's talk about sort of the academic piece and how we come at them. And we come at both from sort of two different sides. We've got the counseling program, we've got our academic program.
Okay.
So in our counseling program, we have work to do in really empowering students and parents to make good choices for post-secondary education. And the landscape is so complicated, and there's so many factors that parents and students need to understand. And so we're really trying to put in place a comprehensive program to help parents and students prepare to make this big decision that really starts in grade 9.
Okay.
And we need to make sure that that program is really personalized to the needs of students and families, because what our students and families need varies considerably based on their financial situation, based on the student's achievement profile, based on their academic strengths, and based on their interests, right? So we can't take a one-size-fits-all approach to counseling.
So when you're talking about grade 9, so when some of our teenagers are saying, I don't need to think about this, freshman, sophomore, they really should be, and those are conversations that should be happening?
They should, and one of the things that we're trying to that I'm trying to work on right now and helping our faculty and our parents and our students understand is that actually if you don't get serious about it in grade 9, it's too late.
Wow.
We know that where students finish academically is predicted almost entirely by where they finish at the end of their freshman year.
Okay.
So we've done a study of our current student body right now, and the GPA that a student uses when they apply to college, that's the GPA at the end of their junior year.
Yep.
Right?
Okay.
So if you look at all of our students right now who are seniors, and you say, well, what was the GPA they had when they applied to college at the end of their junior year? And you go back in time and you say, well, what was their GPA at the end of freshman year? And sort of how tightly linked were they? Or how many students have big changes in their GPA from the end of their freshman year to the end of their junior year? The answer is almost no one does.
Wow.
Almost no one does. So if you tell me your GPA at the end of freshman year, with 90% accuracy, I can predict your GPA at the end of junior year, right?
Okay.
There's very, very few students who make significant improvements or significant declines in their GPA over the course of their sophomore and junior year.
Wow,
So
that's great information to have, especially as you start looking at it as a 4-year program in high school and getting that mindset started early. Wow. It's good
And
to
so,
know.
we need students to not only understand the importance of their academic achievement in freshman year, but we also need to teach them the game, right? So when I talk about GPA, right, students, when they come in their freshman year, they need to understand what is a GPA, why does it matter so much in college admissions, how is their GPA calculated. They need to understand that almost none of our students make significant changes in their GPA between their freshman and their senior year. I think part of the common part of sort of the conventional wisdom about college and high school is, I think for generations we said junior year is the most important year in high school.
Yes.
Right? And I don't want to diminish the importance of junior year, but I would argue actually freshman year is the most important year in high school.
Okay.
If you come out of the block strong in freshman year, you're good to go.
Okay.
But if you come out of the block slow freshman year, there's almost no one who picks up speed as they move down the track. Students who come out of the block slow finish behind. Students who come out of the blocks fast, they finish ahead. And almost no one makes up ground over the course of their sophomore and junior year.
Wow, that's good to know. Great information here. So you were talking about the counseling piece and then the financial piece.
Yeah.
Can you loop back to that?
Sure. So when it comes to sort of financing college, for families who are coming into high school and have not already done some serious thinking and planning around financing for college, they're in a tough position, right? For most folks, unless you're earning a lot of money, there's not much you can do in 4 years to prepare for the expense of college.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So we need to be working with families. I think ultimately we need to push down into the middle grades and in the late elementary grades to help families sort of have this long run sort of look at planning for college finances. But when folks come to us at Milford High School, we're going to work with what we have. And part of what we need to do is we need to get parents and we need to get students thinking about college as an investment. And we need to think about them being consumers and researching college with an eye towards value and return on investment. There's actually a lot of data out there that's available to families and students that helps them try to get a good sense of what is the value or the relative value of one college versus another. What is the return on investment of a major in this subject versus a major in that subject? And I think if we're not looking at college as an investment in economic terms, we're not being very realistic. So for our students, as I said earlier, the financial benefits of college completion are huge.
Okay.
The financial costs of college attrition can be equally severe. And so I think we need to take a really pragmatic approach that looks at it that way. And I think our counseling program plays a critical role in coaching and helping students and families sort of learn that financial landscape of college, learn about financing college, but also think about financing college with an eye towards investment, right? So I'm not just paying for my kid to go to college, I'm making an investment in my young adult child, and I need to really think about this in terms of the way we approach other investments in terms of risk, right, and payout. So one of the things that we need to do to help families make good decisions around sort of risk and payout is we need to give them really honest, clear, early, frequent feedback around how their students are doing with regards to post-secondary goals. So say, for example, if a family and a student are aspiring for that young adult to go on to a 4-year college and a baccalaureate degree, and we've come to the end of their freshman year, and their GPA is a 2.3, and we encourage them to continue to believe that everything's just fine, you're on track to reach your goal. We haven't been honest with them, and we haven't been clear.
Right, because you had just said that after your freshman year, the GPA prediction is almost what you're going to see at the end of junior year. And
we know that for students who at the end of junior year have a GPA below a 3.0 or a 3.2, their odds of college completion drop to about a 50-50. 50-50 odds, right? So we need to teach folks that not in senior year. They need to know that
early.
They need to know that in the fall of freshman year, and then we need to be letting students know at every quarter. All right, so here is your estimated GPA. We don't actually calculate GPA until we have end of course grades, but we can give an estimate based on every quarter. So students need to get that feedback. They need to understand, so what is my goal? Am I on track for my goal? So if I'm not on track, I can make course corrections. And I think that one of the things that we've been guilty of in high schools for a long time, and this is sort of Milford and elsewhere, is that we haven't done a great job helping students to really understand whether or not they are on track or off track for achieving their goals. So for folks to make good decisions, they need to have that information. And if we have it and we're not sharing that with families, we're not helping our kids.
No, so I'm gonna throw it back to you for a minute. We've covered a lot today, and I've learned a lot just being in the seat. I hope you've learned a lot in the audience and listening, especially around the GPA, grade level, financial planning. So in your first year, you've had a lot thrown at you, and this is one more thing. So how are you making this a priority at Milford High School? What's some of the work you've been doing, and what's next to come for this work?
Yeah, so I think in terms of what I've been trying to do is to really try to have this conversation with as many different constituents as possible. One thing that sort of the entry point to this conversation with our students and our families has really been around GPA. So the way that Milford High School was calculating GPA when I came on board wasn't really well aligned to the way that our state colleges and universities are calculating GPA. So we made that correction. That took a bunch of work. We then sort of got students and families their GPA, and we accompanied that with sort of an educational campaign and a bunch of resources to help folks really understand so what's behind the number and what does the number mean, and how can I use that number in the sort of in the college search process. One of the other things that we've been working hard at this year is expanding our early college offerings. So this comes to the sort of the academic side. So one of the ways that we think we can address issues of both academic readiness and cost is by adopting what's called an early college model at Milford High School. And an early college model is one that allows a student to take college classes while in high school. The beauty of early college models when they're done well is that they don't cost students any money. There's no tuition
you
and
talked
fees.
about the financial piece. That's saving money right there.
So our vision right now is we're working to build an early college program that allows students to earn up to 1 year of college credit while still in high school at no cost. We're not there quite yet. I can't sort of say to you or to families like, hey, come on over, I've got this program where your students can complete.
But that's something that's in the works.
It's in the works, and we're well on our way. So I'm hoping that I can come back and speak to you at some point in the not too distant future to tell you that we're ready to launch on that. But early college programming is, I think, a key lever that we're trying to pull, both to reduce the cost of college for students and to make sure that they're ready to be successful when they get to college, because they're not taking college classes for the first time. They've actually completed 10 college classes before they left the high school campus.
That is a great program, builds the rigor. It makes us more marketable, I think, too, as a district.
Absolutely. So early college programming of this nature is not something that's readily available in this part of the Commonwealth right now. And so I think if we can build out programming that sort of achieves that vision of allowing students to complete a year of college courses while they're still in high school, we're going to offer something that is available at very, very few high schools anywhere in Massachusetts, and especially in this region. And that's what we want to do. We want to provide our kids with opportunities that are really going to put them at an advantage. I think one other piece that I just want to mention, Matt, in terms of the work we're doing now is we're doing sort of a new pilot study with the class of 2021, our current freshmen, and with their families as well, where all of our freshmen, when they came in to do course selection for sophomore year, their counselors, in addition to sort of talking to them about course selection, did a very sort of brief survey with the students around post-secondary goals. And we've also asked families to complete a somewhat more in-depth survey around post-secondary goals and post-secondary planning. And our hope is that all the data that we collect from the surveys that we can then combine with grade data and demographic data is going to allow us to roll out a much more personalized program of college counseling services for students and families. So again, we can't think about college readiness in a one-size-fits-all approach, and nor do we have the ability to provide sort of one-on-one intensive counseling for people, sort of every month for 4 years. But we can offer programming that's suited to meet sort of the needs of all of our families and students, regardless of sort of where they are, sort of across the continuum. And so we're trying to take a data-driven approach to sort of both planning and delivering that differentiated program of counseling.
Wow, that's great. This was a lot to take in, a lot that we covered. Is there any last thoughts that you'd like to share with the community before we wrap up? Because this was very robust.
Yeah, I think one thing that I want folks in the community to know, because this is something that I think we should all be grateful for, is we have some really outstanding partners in higher education that are helping us realize this vision right now. So I've been delighted to come on board at Milford and to find that even before I walked in the door, there was a pre-existing relationship with Quinn-Sigmund Community College, with Mass Bay Community College, and Framingham State University. And we've really accelerated those partnerships in the time that I've come here, working very, very closely with Quinn-Sigmund right now on really gearing up early college offerings next year. We applied for we're in the process of trying to win a major grant in conjunction with Framingham State and Mass Bay Community College. We've already won a $10,000 planning grant. Wow. We're going after $100,000 together. So we're very fortunate here in Milford that we have partners in higher education that are really stepping up to the plate, and I think that's something that I'm very grateful for, and I want folks in the community to know so that they can sort of recognize the contributions that these institutions are making as well.
Wow, that's great. Well, thanks for coming in today. And if you want to look back at the first time that Principal Otlin came in, I shared with you how grateful and lucky we are to have him come to us and be principal at Milford High School. You heard a little today about data. I hope you saw this is data that is showing the hard work that Principal Otlin is doing, his staff at Milford High School is doing, and everyone involved in not only the high school and the course selection that you're talking about, the guidance counselors. So I wanted to make sure as we kicked off our first episode of MPS Talks in our new studio that we set the bar high, and no better way to do it than having Principal Otlin here and sharing his knowledge and plans for the future for your students as they enter into Milford High School. And as you heard, entering into Milford High School starts before grade 9 with the thinking, and then in grade 9 already thinking about the next step. So thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for the opportunity, Matt.
And we will be having you back to talk next steps on some of the things you shared today.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Yeah.